All right, welcome to part 3 of this video series. Now we're going to get a little bit more practical and make some changes and see the results. Okay, so what is the C.L.E.A.R framework? This is something that I developed as my own need became apparent to make a change. Okay, so it's all about clarifying your priorities, right? Taking some time to think about who you are and who you want to become. And then once you're clear on that, you can move to limit unwanted influence. Who is overstaying at the dinner table, or who are you inviting in that maybe you shouldn't have invited in the first place? Next, we'll seek to reduce that consumption. We don't want to binge watch. We don't want to binge drink. We don't want to binge on social media. Once we've done that, we're then ready to align ourselves with our higher self, our higher goals, who we aspire to be. Align our social media platforms with that, rather than who we have been. Because the recommender system only knows what it knows from your history, but it doesn't know who you want to become unless you don't tell it. And at last, this is something that we'll need to do every so often because we are humans and we continue to change and evolve over time. So you'll need to reapply this once again, as needed, of course. So again, you can pause and you can work on these exercises, or you can do them later, however you'd like. I'm just here to present and talk and give my own examples. So this first step of clarifying our priorities. What are your top 5 priorities in life at this moment? What are some things that you value the most? It's okay if you don't come up with 5. Just think about it for a minute, and I'll tell you mine. So first off, my own wellness, physical and mental, because if I am not well, then how can I take care of other people? How can I produce at the level that I want to produce? Then comes family, work, friends and extended family, and my hobbies, my side projects, things like that. Let's get a little more specific. Do you have any goals in the next few years that you'd like to achieve? Try to be specific and dream big. It doesn't matter. So for me, I want to be able to get into real estate. I want to learn how that works. I want to be able to have some meaningful friendships in my local area, invest a little bit of time in my community. What are some goals and dreams that you want to work on in the next few years? Okay, once you have that, then we can move on. And I want you to pick a social media platform that you think you have the most problems on, or one that you really love, that you spend a lot of time on. So pick up your phone and open the app. What do you see in the homepage? Look around. What are the 10 things that you see? What are the 10 thumbnails that appear? And put them in buckets, categorize them, right? So let's have some random example that I put here. Someone, that watches, as you can see in this pie chart, almost half of their content or half of what came up is news. Some of it is about ancient history, others about real estate, and others is just drama type things. Okay. Once you've done this, you can move on to the next step, which is thinking about limiting influence from other people, right? So for each of those categories, and I meant to say, try to categorize them as best you can. But if you can't, it's okay. We'll just analyze one at a time and see within you how those things make you feel. Like when you're scrolling during the day and you hit one of those channels or you hit that type of content, how does it make you feel? Does it make you feel happy? Does it make you feel hopeful, fulfilled, connected? I hope so. I hope that you're consuming content that makes you feel inspired and grateful and not scared, angry, getting FOMO, feeling some kind of addiction. I'll tell you an experience for me. When I used to be on Instagram, I would follow people that were like maybe 3 or 4 years ahead of me in terms of a specific business that I was working on. And I did it intentionally because I thought that it was going to motivate me and give me the secret. Like, what is it that they're doing that I'm not? Why am I not where they are? And instead of it being inspiring, it ended up making me feel inferior. It would get me mad and frustrated. Like, gosh, look at what they're enjoying. And I'm not getting there. What am I doing wrong? So I decided to just get out of not following them at all. In the end, I quit Instagram altogether. I'm not saying you have to do that, but I just want you, for each of these categories, write down how they make you feel. And we'll go to the next step. So for each of these, on top of how they make you feel, how do they align with the goals and dreams that we wrote down in the beginning? Do they align? Or maybe they're completely opposite? That's up to you to figure out. So, you know, let's say one of your goals is to improve your mental health. But when you look at your feed, most of it is news. Is that really helping your mental health? Probably not. Or maybe you are aligned as far as like what you're consuming and your goals, but there are some things that are overstaying at the dinner table, right? Like maybe I'm interested in real estate, but all I have in my YouTube is real estate. Like, hey, that's not all that I am. That's not, you know, I have hobbies. I'm married. Maybe I should be consuming other stuff too. So keep that in mind, and let's move on to the next step. We talked about this. Is anyone overextending their stays? And now is the part where you're going to identify any categories, channels, subscriptions, influencers, people that you might want to remove altogether. Just don't let them in anymore. You think they are getting in the way of who you want to become, and you get them out of your life. Now, there are very practical things you can do depending on the app that we're working on. I have some examples here for YouTube where you can explicitly unsubscribe. You can, maybe you just turn off the notification bell, depending on how bad it is. You can go into YouTube Shorts and say, don't recommend this channel. You can even hit dislike. It really varies depending on what platform you chose, but in general, most of them allow you to do things like this. You can even flag the content so that they know not to show you this type of thing anymore. Okay, this is something you can pause the video for and do now as a quick exercise, or you can take with you and do later. And by the way, if this works out for you, I recommend you do this with every social media platform you're on, because it will really supercharge your life. So now we have a better relationship with the recommender system, right? We have told it, hey, I don't like you showing me these things. Please stop showing me this kind of content. Okay. However, it is a dysfunctional relationship, because even though he's shaking your hand right here, you know who the master is. You know who they belong to. They belong to the social media platforms, and they're incentivized to make money. And the other thing about these machines is that they're running on the cloud 24/7, always calculating, always trying to be a matchmaker. Us, on the other hand, we're human. We get tired. So even if we are like, okay, I'm not going to consume this type of content, I'm not going to consume this type of content, or, you know, I'm only going to do 2 hours a day or 1 hour a day or half an hour a day, eventually we're going to give in. We're tired. That's what we need, guardrails. And that's when a lot of these practical tips come in, of hacks that you can do to your phone to make it easier on you. Okay, so one thing is make your devices more boring. Okay, whether you're on Apple or Android, there are tools that allow you to do this. On Apple, you can change your color filter to a grayscale that removes all of that bright red buttons, bright red notifications. And then on Android, there's a digital well-being section in the settings where you can set your bedtime mode, and it'll adjust the color. When it's close to bedtime, it'll put everything in a more soothing palette. And then there's also controls that allow you to do other stuff. So again, you can pause, make some of these changes now, or take note of it and do it later, whatever feels best for you. One tip that I would like to partake to you that I've found useful is really take your time and set up your notifications. I have a general rule of don't let non-humans notify me. So if Amazon thinks there's a product I should buy, I don't care. I'll check the website on my own time. Same thing with Netflix and things like that. But if someone is reaching out to me, like an explicit message on Telegram, WhatsApp, whatever, go ahead and keep that notification enabled. You know, if there's something important that I need to know about that is urgent, then sure. But if it's a social media notification, it's okay. I'll check it on my own time. It's not critical. If it's an emergency, I know that these people will reach out to me or they'll call 911, you know? So back to the tools that the phones themselves have. On Apple, there's a system called Screen Time. This app allows you to monitor how much you're using the phone and specific apps. And on Android is digital well-being. If these are already enabled in your phone, I invite you to pause and take a look at what they say about your consumption. And then, is it surprising to you? Is the kind of time you're spending on these apps surprising to you? Have you looked at it before and just ignored it? Think about that. And let's say it says you spend like 3 hours on YouTube, but you love YouTube and the type of content you're consuming, it's aligned with your higher self, then maybe it doesn't matter too much. That's why the focus is to align the content, because at the end of the day, I'm not here to say social media is evil and you should not use it. But we do want to be moderate about our consumption. So I think these tools are great. You can also set app limits. You can say, hey, during work hours, I will not allow myself to go on YouTube. But then after 5 o'clock, I will give myself a maximum 1 hour. These are rules that you should sit down and think about and make for yourself. So feel free to do that right now or later. Let's talk about my system. So I follow more of a digital minimalist approach where I installed a special minimalist layout on my Android device that looks like this, where everything's black and white. Applications are hard to find unless I selected them as my favorite, which then they show up on the front. I have a service that works similar to Screen Time, but it works across devices called Freedom. That's a paid service, and it gives me flexibility as far as like how websites to block, what times do I block them in, and another cool application called Forest, which allows you to stay focused by setting a timer, and it turns it into a game. Like, okay, let's say I'm going to sit down and work on my homework. I set up the timer, I hit start, and the closer it gets to 0, this little tree starts to grow and then completes. Once you reach the end, if you did not touch your phone, it gets added to your forest and you get points and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. The last thing I did is I considered all the places, all the accounts that I had as far as social media goes, and I said, what are my 2 favorite? What are the ones that I enjoy that I think I have a future with? And I stuck with Twitter and YouTube and deleted everything else. I was like, I don't need to be everywhere. I have to protect who joins my dinner table, so I'm good with just these 2. All right, so we have purged, we have talked about tips on moderating consumption, and now let's continue to align with who we want to become. All right, so what this exercise looks like is that you will think about those areas in your priorities and goals, and then go online and find mentors, friends, just go on the search bar and type hashtags that you think are related to that. Like, let's say you want to be a better husband, write hashtag good husband or marriage therapist or things like that. So in the example I gave earlier, this made up example, the person decided on the left, they no longer wanted to watch news because it was making them feel crappy. And instead they wanted to spend more time learning about their hobby of woodworking. So now 1/4 of what they see is woodworking, and they increased a little bit more real estate, and they added family therapists. They're like, hey, let's not waste my time with this Asian history stuff. It's really not useful for me. So let me focus on family therapy because I want to improve my family. Now, this isn't to say that you shouldn't have entertainment listed here, right? You could keep some of the entertainment as long as you are happy with the categorization that you're ending up with. So again, do this. Take some time. This might take you a little bit longer because you have to search for the right people that you think are top quality and align with who you want to be. Another tip is to favor networks where you talk to real humans. What I mean by that is instead of scrolling passively through a feed, there are many apps that are more interactive, like Slack, Telegram, like group chats, where you're just talking to people and not scrolling and getting ads and getting a bunch of recommendations, right? Even better, if you use Meetup, you find like-minded folks to meet in real life. I will warn against something called parasocial relationships. Um, this is similar to what people feel when they have like a favorite celebrity, a favorite singer. They feel like they understand them because they've heard all the lyrics, all the writings, but really it's a one-sided relationship. Okay. The same thing is happening nowadays with influencers and online community leaders, right? You feel like you know all their life because you've heard them talk about everything, but in all reality, they don't know you. So what I recommend is don't be fooled by this. This does not fulfill your social meter. You need to talk to real humans, and it needs to be a two-way thing. One little tip that I have to align myself with my higher self is taking some of these persuasive techniques that we discussed in the previous section and using them for yourself. So this constant notifications that pop up on your phone, I decided to notify myself, to nudge myself in the right direction. So I have things that pop up every day. Hey, are you being present with your kids? Are you living the life of your dreams? Did you work on your side projects? Things like that, little quotes that I enjoy. So just a tip, if you want to try it out, I found it to be very helpful. Okay, so you are on your way to the city of gold. Uh, but remember, our destination changes because we're humans and we change our minds. We grow in different interests. So you would have to go back and do this every so often. What I would recommend is if you did this exercise today, just continue to use your application for like another week and then come back and see how you feel. Did you spend less time on it? And did you regret the time spent on it? Right? As you're scrolling, take a deep breath. Think about how you feel. Think about whether or not it's aligned with who you want to become and adjust as necessary. Awesome. So some closing thoughts. We talked about the power that we have as individuals to change. But what about our culture? We have classrooms, we have families, and everybody is in this together. What I recommend is to design the environment in such a way that it protects people's willpower, right? We always hear about the kids trying to find the cookie jar or trying to get to the cookie jar. It's better to, put it in a place they can't reach or even put it away completely. Don't even buy it, right? So when it comes to leading other people, the best thing you can do is to lead by example, right? You align yourself, you align that part of your life, and then hopefully that inspires people around you to do the same. When they see that you are not glued to your phone, when they see that you are becoming a better person and you're finding mentors online and you're communicating and you're being active rather than being a passive consumer, they would be like, hopefully they'll be inspired and want to do the same thing, right? So some other things about designing your environment, there are many products you can use. If you're a parent, I recommend phones like the Gab phone, which don't allow people to download anything from the internet. So it doesn't have like unfettered access to everything and anything. There are these gamified boxes like Aro, which um, people can put in their phones and they get charged, but they also compete to see who leaves the phone in there the longest. So if you have a party, people can just put their phone in there and then everybody will be more present. Same thing with charging stations. They will force you to take phones to one specific location so you can put it in the main common area and away from the rooms to encourage more conversation and more connection at the end of the day. And last thing, don't demand change, inspire and invite. Um, this is something like I said in the beginning of this course. People don't like being told what to do. So that's, when I've done that in my life, that never reaches a good conclusion. It's better to lead by example. And that's it. I really hope you enjoyed this video series. If you have any questions or feedback, send me an IM or post on Twitter or write me an email. I will respond. Don't forget to rate this Gumroad course if you thought it was useful. And I just want to tell you, thank you. and that I really value your time with me. As I said, our time is super valuable. It's worth billions to them, so it should be worth billions to us. Okay? Awesome. I'd love to hear how it goes. I hope that, a week after this, you can come back to me and say, hey, dude, like I made some progress, it's not as bad as it was before. I'm not doom scrolling as often as I used to. I'm not wasting my time as much as I used to. I'm enjoying my time online. I'm being more active. I'm excited about the things that I'm learning. And one last thing I'll say is I will be announcing pretty soon a 21-day mindful scrolling challenge. This will be a paid challenge where you will join a group of people with the same goal, and we will have accountability. We will have multiple sessions, and we'll have more customized help where I will work with you live and get you to where you want to be. So I'll be announcing that pretty soon. Thank you and best of luck.